Yeah. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. Wow, guess what? It's Friday. That means we made it through another week. Thank God. Hope He give us plenty more. And a lot of this is due to many of us stress-free or minimum stress, where we don't have to sit back and worry about, heart attacks and hypertension. But that's something we're going to talk about later on on this show. So
you're in trouble, dude.
Michelle, how you doing?
I'm fine. You're in trouble. You kind of told the audience one of the words to the topic of the show today, but you know what?
Hey, Todd told me to do it. Hey, Todd.
I did not tell you.
Hey, don't throw me under the bus.
Right.
I don't want to be sleeping out in the doghouse.
Blaming Todd.
I tell you what, we got an absolute fantastic show. Todd, can you lock in all the platforms at the same time so we can bring on just absolutely great returning guests?
All right, let's do it. We're locking everybody in here in 3, 2, 1. Locking them in.
It's Your Life is sponsored by James J.C. Cooley.
Let's go. It's the James Cooley Show.
Hello. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. And wow, we got an absolutely fantastic show coming your way today. Michelle's going to tell you the title, the purpose, and she's going to introduce this fantastic guest. But I tell you what, whichever platform that you're watching this on, I mean, first of all, smile. Smile. Whether you're watching us on E36 Television, Transfer TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Rumble, and over 68 plus we just added more platforms. Welcome to the show. If you're just listening to us on the radio, KCBQ AM 770 FM 96.1, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many others, welcome to the show. And if you want to be part of this great discussion that Michelle is going to tell you about in a minute, all you have to do is just go to the platform, go to the comments, ask any questions, and I promise you this absolutely fantastic returning guest will have answers for you. Or you can pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. Michelle, I'm excited about the show because I believe that this what we're going to talk about today affect at least 75% of America, and not the world. So can you please do the honors? And first of all, I got to ask you, how are you doing, Dr. Cooley?
I am doing great. I'm looking forward to the weekend, and just my mom and my brother is coming for the holidays. So I'm excited, but we can discuss that another time. I'm just going to tell you about our amazing returning guest today.
Okay, hold on. First of all, I just saw somebody pop in, and I consider him as one of my kids, Micah Obanabi. Micah, call into the show. Just let me know how you're doing. I'll tell you. So, hey, Michelle, can you please introduce the title of the show, purpose of the show, and I can't wait until Mommy and them get here tomorrow.
Yes. Well, the title of today's show, very important topic, is the silent epidemic of hypertension. We're having a sit-down discussion with Dr. Michael Garko. He's a nationally recognized credentialed nutritionist and spokesman and nutritional consultant for Strauss Naturals. He's going to talk about the power of small changes, exercise as a medicine, nature's remedies, heart-healthy botanicals, and the DASH and Mediterranean diets. Again, he is credentialed nutritionist, and he earned a master's degree in human nutrition from the University of Bridgeport. He produced and hosted a popular health talk radio show called Let's Talk Nutrition, which aired for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week in over 500 cities coast to coast and with streams around the world. Dr. Garko believes nutrition is the driving force by which health is created, sustained, and reclaimed. He passionately believes that your health is your wealth, and your health is the wealth of those who care about and love you. He currently serves as spokesman and nutritional consultant for Strauss Naturals. So please welcome back to the show, Dr. Michael Garko.
That's good. Yay. Where'd you get all those people?
Hey, Doc, we only bring all the audience in for, very, very special guests.
Well, I appreciate that.
And you've been on the show several times, and you always bring a wealth of knowledge. You always educating our listeners and our viewers. And today, I think that this is so important, especially when we're talking about hypertension. And a lot of people don't even know that they could potentially have hypertension because it's silent in most cases. And many times, I believe, when a person find out that they have it, many times it's too late to actually pull it completely under control. But you got methods. You've been doing it for quite some time, and you're going to educate our viewers and our listeners. So first of all, Dr. Mike, if you can tell our audience a little bit more about you that might have not seen you on the last 4 or 5 times you've been on the show. Where you grew up, what makes you happy, why you're so passionate about what you do.
Oh, well, Jane, Dr. Cooley, thank you so much. I was telling Michelle before it came on air how much I've always enjoyed being on your show. You're just wonderful people. I mentioned this to you once before. I talked about it. My mother and father immigrated to this country. My mother from Italy, my father from Poland. And I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in a highly ethnic, multiracial neighborhood. Blue collar. We were poor. I wouldn't have known that. My mom and dad were just wonderful people. They provided me and my sister an opportunity to have a good life. Unfortunately, my sister has passed away, and that's a story for another day. But nevertheless, I was born and raised in that environment, and little did I realize, being raised in that kind of neighborhood, where all these different languages were spoken, 4 or 5 languages were spoken in my house. My dad spoke 4 languages. My mother spoke 2 different languages. And there were different racial groups in the neighborhood. It had an impact on me for the rest of my life. And I grew up, and to this day, I see the world with an open mind and an open heart. And when you live that way, Dr. Cooley, people tend to open up to you. And I have a mantra. I get up each day and I say, live your life mindfully, in the moment, one day at a time, with purpose, passion, and gratitude, all in the better service of others. And it's been a journey for me, a long journey. I told your wife the other Dr. Cooley, that on April 22nd of this year, I turned 80. And I'm very privileged to have been able to live this long and to be able to work and to live my life in the better service of others. So coming onto your show is not just something I do as a nutrition consultant for Strauss Naturals. It's something that gives me my purpose in life each day. And part of aging successfully is to live with a purpose. There's even scientific research to suggest that people who get up every day with a purpose in life tend to have better quality of life and tend to live longer. And so, I'm humbled to be able to have lived this long and to be here with you. I'm here with you right now in this very instant moment, nowhere else. In this moment, this is the most, there is no tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't exist. Only the moment exists. And I'm with you and the other Dr. Cooley, both of you, and with your audience. I'm totally devoted and absorbed in this moment with you. And I've been fortunate to get my education. I spent 18 years beyond high school getting my degrees, 2 bachelor's degrees, 2 master's degrees, and a PhD. And I'm a medical researcher by trade as well. So, and I have a viable nutrition practice. And most of my practice is pro bono, by the way. There's a lot of people that can't afford my fees, and I help them pro bono. They need help, and if I can help them, I do. So that's a way of giving back, Dr. Cooley. And look, I was raised a Catholic. I should practice my religion more. I don't wear my religion on my sleeve. I wish I was more involved in my, but I try to lead a good life and be a good person, and that to me is a way of connecting to a higher order. So that's maybe a little beyond what you wanted me to say, but you get my point, I think.
Wow, it's wow. Just listening to you, Dr. Mike. I thank you for those kind words because we look forward to having you on the show. I know what you're going to bring to our audience and our listeners, and not just them, but Michelle and I. We get educated a lot more every time we have you on the show, because you speak from the heart. You just come out and you tell it like it is, and that's why I'm excited about the show that we got on today with hypertension. But I tell you what, before we get to that, we're going to take a station break, because once we get back from the break, we're going to head off into this topic. And, it's a lot of things that you're going to share. First of all, what is the definition of hypertension, and the other things that Michelle and I are going to have for you. So I tell you what, whichever platform that you're watching us on, if you want to be part of the show, all you have to do, just go to the comments on that platform and ask this great doctor any question that you might have. Or you can pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. It's your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
A black man's
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Listen up. It's Dr. James J.C. Cooley. Yeah. It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Hey.
Renegade
chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
Southtown and realization that life would never be the same. Cooley lays out his struggle to adjust from city life to country life and back again, sharing his hard-earned lessons to educate, encourage, and enlighten our next generation of leaders and heroes. Get your copy of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
Yeah.
Hello. Welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you what, this is coming from the heart. This is one of my favorite guests, to have on the show, Dr. Garko. And I've been on several times. Always, as you saw him in the first segment, he speaks from the heart. I mean, it speaks from the heart in his shows, and I think it's got to be a lot more Dr. Garkos out there to speak from the heart that's going to tell you the truth, and you're going to understand exactly where he's coming from. So I'm going to turn it over to Michelle because she's itching to ask a couple of questions.
Itching.
You almost told me to step aside, James.
Great. Thank you. Dr. Garko, hypertension is called the silent killer. And before I was asking my question, I was thinking also of, and it has nothing to do with this, but how certain conditions are silent until, whether it's too late or you're going to, suffer for some issues. Why is it a silent killer? How come there are no symptoms right away? Mostly.
Good question. High blood pressure, also called hypertension, is you're right, Dr. Cooley. It's referred to as the silent killer because it does not signal in any way, shape, or manner the typical signs or symptoms that you would think, like with any other kind of disease, especially during its early stages of development. Consequently, and it's a shame, but many people go undiagnosed and become a risk for heart attack or stroke, the two leading causes of death. The reason why there is no sign or symptom, for example, in the early stages, for example, with the obesity epidemic, we now have children 8, 9, 10 years old showing early signs of atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is the pathogenic process for coronary artery disease, and high blood pressure is a risk factor for coronary artery disease. The fatty streaks that they start to see in the arteries of these kids, these young children, is primarily from diet. But what high blood pressure does, if you think of the artery, it's like a pipe. Mm-hmm. And if you put too much pressure on the inside of that pipe, it starts to destroy the inner lining of the artery, right? It's called the endothelium. And yes, the body tries to repair it. Now, we'll get into it. There are a number of modifiable risk factors and non-modifiable risk factors for high blood pressure. And you can go for decades having high blood pressure, and the more pressure, the more damage it does to the arteries, the the dangerous it becomes. And sometimes the pressure can get so high, you're put in hypertensive crisis, and you could have a heart attack or a stroke. So it is a silent killer. Coronary artery disease is also a silent killer. Both of these killers are always at the scene of the crime, and you will feel their pain, if you will, once they decide, when they have that moment, when they cause a heart attack or a stroke, or you start to feel pressure in your chest called angina, right? Then all of a sudden now you know it. But sometimes the symptoms of high blood pressure are revealed in other ways: hard to focus, get dizzy, unable to keep your balance at times. So there are other signs and symptoms, but a lot of people just brush those off and don't pay much attention to them.
Dr. Garko, you mentioned, obesity. It makes you high risk for, let's say, high blood pressure, but also high blood pressure could be hereditary. You can exercise, be an ideal weight, and as we know, that sometimes there's a history of high blood pressure within the family, and you can do everything you can to maybe not carry it on, but you can still suffer from that. Can you kind of talk about that?
What you're referring to is what's called a non-modifiable risk factor. Mm-hmm. Genetics, i.e. family history. High blood pressure is known to run in families, right? Mm-hmm. Gender is another non-modifiable risk factor. Prior to age 60, more men than women have high blood pressure, but after age 60, it switches. Race and ethnicity. African Americans are at a higher risk to have high blood pressure at a younger age. Among Hispanics, people from Cuba and those of Puerto Rican and Dominican heritage have a higher risk for high blood pressure as well. See, race and ethnicity and gender and family history are non-modifiable. Age is a non-modifiable risk factor. Blood pressure tends to increase as we age, but it can also affect young children and young people as well. And so those are the non-modifiable risk factors, and you should be paying attention. If you have a brother, a sister, a father, an uncle, an aunt, anybody mm-hmm. in the family, more than one person with high blood pressure, you should inquire and check for yourself. Get your own blood pressure checked. I recommend that people, especially elderly people who have been diagnosed with high blood pressure, to have a blood pressure cuff in the house and to measure your blood pressure every morning when you get up. These numbers make a difference, and you got to know, which is another topic. Know your number. Less than 120 over 80. 120 is the systolic pressure. That's mm-hmm. the pressure when the heart contracts and the pressure's in the artery. That's systolic. That's the top number. The bottom number is when the heart relaxes. You want to have a blood pressure less than 120 over 90. Elevated is 120 to 129 and less than 80 in diastolic. High blood pressure stage 1 is 130 to 139 and the diastolic between 80 and 89. High blood pressure stage 2 is 140, and then the diastolic is 90 or lower, and then hypertensive crisis is 180, which is the systolic, and less than 120. The blood pressure can be too low as mm-hmm. well. So you should know your number. And if you have high blood pressure, you should get a blood pressure cuff and measure it every day. By the way, they measure it in millimeters of mercury, right? You'll see that, millimeters of mercury. mmHg means millimeters of mercury. So systolic, diastolic. You want to be less than 120 over 80.
Dr. Garko, what are the long-term effects? Let's say someone's high blood pressure skyrocket, they're hospitalized, and they bring it down. But what's the long-term effects that suffering through that crisis, even though the medical professionals are able to bring it down, what damage does that have, potential damage that it has on your kidneys, for instance?
Well, it turns out that the kidneys, a lot of people don't connect the kidneys to blood pressure. Well, it turns out that the kidneys, there is a intimate, inextricable relationship between high blood pressure and kidney disease. Turns out that high blood pressure is an independent risk factor for atherosclerosis, whereby the arteries serving the kidneys, as well as the heart and other organs, become thickened and hardened and narrowed by the buildup of plaque, which reduces the blood flow to the kidneys. Eventually, the kidneys become damaged, and it impairs what's called, it's a fancy term here, you don't have to remember this, the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. And that, and in the ability of the kidneys to properly manage sodium and fluid levels and eliminate waste and excess fluids, all of which causes the blood pressure to rise. What we know is often people who have kidney disease have coronary artery disease, and people who have coronary artery disease have kidney disease. So your kidneys, people think, oh, it's my heart that's controlling the blood pressure. No, it's your kidneys that are controlling the blood pressure. So you want the arteries to the kidneys to be healthy, and you want the coronary arteries to be healthy as well.
Well, Doc, you mentioned the different type of hypertensions, and suppose that it was a person, that had high blood pressure, pretty much all their lives. And they utilize some of the techniques that you have taught us over the shows. And they come off the medicines and all that stuff that they might have been on. And now their blood pressure is low, like 94, 95 over 60. Is that too low? What?
Yeah, the blood pressure can be too low. You have to understand, look, the heart is a pump. And what is it pumping? It's pumping blood out into the body, the oxygenated blood. It also contains the nutrients, right? If the pump is not as strong, you're not going to get sufficient oxygen and nutrients to the various cells, tissues, and organs of the body. And now you're depriving those cells and tissues and organs of oxygen and nutrients. And you allude to something here, it's really important. If you have chronic hypertension and it goes untreated, you're restricting the flow of blood to the brain and to every other organ in the body. And long term, you can start to have neurological problems, urological problems, respiratory problems, and so on. Having that pump it's a remarkable pump. I don't think humans could make a pump so durable and so reliable. But at the same time, Dr. Cooley, we are prone as a species to coronary artery disease. High blood pressure doesn't help matters. It contributes to coronary artery disease because it's scoring or damaging that inner lining of the artery, and the body's trying to repair it, and it's plaquing, and plaque builds up. So all these things start to get connected. Long-term hypertension without medication and proper treatment and dietary supplementation is a death sentence. It's just a matter of time when you either have a heart attack or a stroke. And by the way, there's a lot of signs and symptoms that give you a clue. Severe headache, chest pain, dizziness, difficult breathing, nausea, vomiting, your vision is blurred, you get anxious or confused, a lot of buzzing in the ears, nosebleeds, abnormal heart rhythm. Those are all signs that you may have high blood pressure. And if you're on medication, do not stop taking those medications until you talk to your doctor.
But doc, so a person been on medication and they take them off the medications and blood stabilize blood pressure, but then now the blood pressure is anywhere between 94 to 103/60. And the doctor's saying that there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to come back and talk about that one in a minute because that's important. But we're going to take a station break. But
Okay.
this conversation that we're talking about, I'm talking about dealing with hypertension and the silent epidemic that many of us don't know about, but now you're getting an understanding. The great doctor gave you the 4 different levels, and we're going to have him to repeat those again. So
I will.
no. So I tell you what, you want to be part of the conversation? All you have to do, just go to the platform that you're watching this on. Comments wise, asking the question that you might have, or pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. My main man Todd in our studios in California will patch you through, and Dr. Mike will provide you with the right answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Craving a slice of Chicago right here in Temecula wine country? Then dive into legendary Chicago deep dish style pizza at Rosati's Pizza Pub. Piled high with gooey cheese, rich tomato sauce, and your favorite toppings, Rosati's delivers the taste of the Windy City right to your table or front door. Enjoy the cozy pub atmosphere and an impressive selection of Temecula wines. Come on down to Rosati's Pizza Pub for your slice of Chicago right here on Rancho California Road, or order online at myrosatis.com. Rosati's, where Chicago deep dish pizza meets Temecula charm.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
A version of his book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, by Dr. James Cooley, on Amazon or wherever books are sold.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley.
Hello. Welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. And what we're talking about today with my great guest, Dr. Micah Garko. We're talking about the silent epidemic. And what that is hypertension. And it strikes in many ways. As we talked about and as a great doctor talked about earlier, A lot of times we don't even know whether we have it or not until we done passed out or almost going to a stroke, or all certain other things. And we don't know why. In many cases, we know why, but in our minds, we want to allow ourselves to understand the stuff you put in your body, the amount of exercise, and several other things can contribute, including hereditary. Can contribute to hypertension. And so, hey, the great Dr. Mike, first of all, real quickly, can you go over again what constitutes the type of hypertension? I'm talking about normal blood pressure all the way down to all the way up, because I know people that's get their blood pressure, and next thing you know, they're in the hospital, it's 200, and they didn't even know it.
Right. So it's important to know your number here. And what's considered blood pressure less than 120 over 80. The top number is your systolic pressure, the bottom number is the diastolic. So you want it to be less than 120 and less than 80. Elevated blood pressure is 120 to 129 and less than 80 for the diastolic. High blood pressure, stage 1, is 130 to 139 with the diastolic between 80 and 89. High blood pressure stage 2 is 140 or higher for systolic and 90 or higher for the diastolic. And hypertensive crisis is higher than 180 and or higher than 120 on the diastolic. So those numbers are important to learn about and to know. Know your number.
Yes. So, Dr. Garko, let's talk about exercise as a medicine for those people who are suffering from high blood pressure, or who want to, who are dealing with high blood pressure. Let's talk about exercise as a medicine. Can you provide your thoughts on that?
Yeah, leading a sedentary life is a risk factor for how can I say, any problems generally associated with the cardiovascular system or any system of the body. Regular extra physical activity can help lower blood pressure by 5 to 8 millimeters of mercury. You want to aim for at least 30 minutes of moderate physical activity every day. Exercise can help keep elevated pressure from turning into high blood pressure, especially cardiorespiratory exercise, walking, jogging, biking, swimming, dancing is very good for the cardiovascular system. For those having hypertension, regular physical activity can help bring down that blood pressure to a safer level. Again, what's recommended in the literature and by doctors is walking, jogging, cycling, swimming, dancing, any cardiorespiratory kind of exercise. But that's just one of the things that you can do to help create better cardiovascular health, generally, and to try to prevent and help to manage high blood pressure.
And we're going to segue into not only exercise, but nutrition, and also talk about some of the supplements that you can recommend. I know we got 3 minutes before our break, but you can start with nutrition and, talk about the supplements, and we'll add more to that after the break. But let's discuss.
There's a diet out there called it's diet for hypertension, right? The DASH diet, dietary approaches to stop hypertension, DASH. If you go on the internet, if you go on to Google and NIH, National Institutes of Health, and type in NIH DASH diet or just DASH diet, the U.S. government has all kinds of free pamphlets, lots of information on the DASH diet. It is a great diet. It's not only for hypertension, it's for overall health as well. I'm a big fan of that diet. I also like the Mediterranean diet. If you go on to pubmed.gov, type in Mediterranean diet. I went there today and I did diet, and I got over 12,000 hits, studies. It's one of the most extensively studied diets in the world. I'm a big fan. Mediterranean diet and DASH diet are similar. They're a little different. I was raised on a Mediterranean diet because my parents were from Europe, and I cook and I cook that way. I still eat that way. It's a healthy way to eat. But there are also supplements that you can take. There's one in particular that I'm really a fan of, and I've used it in my clinical practice. When we come back from break, I'll share that with you. It's one of the most important things you can take. In fact, I believe everybody should be on the Heart Drops by Strauss Naturals, whether you have heart disease or not, because we're all prone as a species to atherosclerosis and coronary artery disease. So it's something called prevention that we need to practice.
Okay, Dr. Garko, we're a minute into the break, but can you answer this question for one of our viewers? He says, my doctor took my blood pressure. It was 150. He waited a few minutes and it was 134. How did my blood go down 16 points just by taking a few deep breaths?
Oh, yeah, because you oxygenate. Sometimes when you go to the doctors, people experience what's called white coat syndrome. Their blood pressure is fine. You measured it out in the parking lot, you walk in the door, and all of a sudden it skyrockets because you're under stress, and stress it constricts the arteries and you start to feel the pressure, and the blood pressure starts to go up. Your heart's pumping harder. It's a stressful moment. And if you breathe from your diaphragm, when you breathe in, your stomach goes out. When you exhale, the stomach comes in. When you breathe from the diaphragm, you take a deeper breath and you're getting more oxygen to the cells, tissues, and organs. And it tends to just calm you down as well. So you breathe from the diaphragm. So it makes a lot of sense. My blood pressure goes up when I go to the doctor too.
And Dr. Garko, hold that thought. We're getting ready to take a commercial break. If you want to be part of the show, please contact the station 1-888-344-1170 or ask Dr. Garko a question on whatever live streaming platforms that you're looking at the show at.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
A black man. JC. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Hey. JC. Yeah. Doctor James JC Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Yeah.
I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be on it, to be in the Coffee Book 2023. Unified Brain Z and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection.
Craving a slice of Chicago right here in Temecula wine country? Then dive into legendary Chicago deep dish style pizza at Rosati's Pizza Pub. Piled high with gooey cheese, rich tomato sauce, and your favorite toppings, Rosati's delivers the taste of the Windy City right to your table or front door. Enjoy the cozy pub atmosphere and an impressive selection of Temecula wines. Come on down to Rosati's Pizza Pub for your slice of Chicago right here on Rancho California Road, or order online at myrosatis.com. Rosati's, where Chicago deep dish pizza meets Temecula charm.
Hello. Welcome back to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And as you know, we got Dr. Michael Garko, and we're talking about the silent epidemic, hypertension. And I know prior to the break, we had somebody come in, and I know you talked about that a little bit, Doc, about their blood pressure was at 150 and went down to 134 just by deep breaths. But I mean, I've been in that situation a few times, and sometimes it's the way I'm sitting, whether I'm excited at the moment and just relaxing a little bit. Can you explain a little bit more to our listener about that?
Sure. Look, this is about stress. Stress is a killer. Make no mistake. I've been saying this for over 25 years. Stress is a killer. It's not just a cliche. It's a fight or flight response. It's a biological response. It's a necessary response. It's part of when we evolved, natural selection took care of that, and we, naturally selected to have this stress response. However, when you're under chronic stress, you run the risk of developing high blood pressure and other, God knows, any other number of conditions. And when you're at the doctor's office, you may feel a little stressful. You're concerned, you're worried. It's a strange environment. Sometimes it's good news, sometimes it's bad news. You don't know what to expect. That induces that stress response. And part of that stress response is to make your heart work a little harder. It's pumping blood so that get to the extremities of your body, shunts blood away from the digestive system. It's preparing you to fight or flee. It's some sort of threat. And early on in our evolution, it was a physical threat. As we became more evolved and our brain developed, it's a psychological threat as well. Something that makes us feel uncomfortable can induce that stress response. On the other hand, riding a roller coaster is very stressful, but it's a lot of fun. It has a different effect. So that accounts for how and why that blood pressure can rise and fall within a matter of minutes. Breathing from your diaphragm. Go on YouTube. They have videos to show you how to do that. It's very simple. Breathing from your diaphragm is one of the best things to do to moderate stress at any given moment.
Well, roller coaster doesn't really, it just makes my stress levels go up. That's why I don't go on those. That's a stressful activity for me. But, Dr. Garko, let's talk about supplements.
Yes.
And before the commercial break, you're going to hone in on it. So you have the floor. Talk about the best supplements today, especially for hypertension and this silent killer.
Yeah, I'm going to recommend two. When you're a clinician like I am, you got to talk about things that work, and I have an evidence-based, science-based practice, and my clients expect me to help them solve their problems, especially when they have high blood pressure. The Strauss Heart Drops, Strauss, that product's been on the market over 40 years, and it is just phenomenal in what it can do. It supports your overall cardiovascular system. But it's made of herbs, aged garlic extract, hawthorn fruit, European mistletoe, motherwort, cayenne, bilberry leaf, and so on. And each one of these herbs, they help in managing blood sugar levels, maybe, or they can help with relaxing the smooth muscles of the arterial wall, like the arterial walls. They do all sorts of things. They can help lower blood pressure. Each one serves as antioxidants. Each one has its own little job to do. The key ingredient in that product is aged garlic. Aged garlic really is phenomenal. It's one of the few instances where science and technology can improve upon nature. When you take raw garlic and age it for up to 20 months or so, whatever, different techniques, it produces compounds that didn't exist. The material was there to make them, but the aging inspired their production or creation. And these compounds they're sulfur compounds, and they do a phenomenal job in helping with your blood pressure, with keeping your arteries healthy and nice and supple and not stiff. I'm a big fan. Remember earlier, I talked about the kidneys.
Yes.
The kidneys are heavily implicated. With my clients who have high blood pressure, I also often put them on the kidney blood pressure support drops by Strauss. The two of them in combination are really effective. I've had clients that were taking 2 and 3 medications. Sometimes I've been able to get them down to 1 medication or to reduce the dosage of the medications because the products work. And their cardiologist asked them, "What are you doing?" "Well, I see Dr. Garko and he's got me." And I say, "You take the bottles with you and you show the doctor what you're taking. And if he has a question, as your cardiologist, call me." And these products are safe to take. They're rarely contraindicated with any pharmaceutical. They're wonderful. They're natural. They work. You can't go wrong. If you go to StraussNaturals.com, that's where you can learn more about it. You can order them there. And there's a link there. It says, "Ask Dr. Garko." You click on that. You write to me. I will answer you. I get people writing to me all the time, and I answer every single one. Those two in combination, the heart drops and the kidney support drops, terrific combination, a good 1-2 punch to keep your cardiovascular system and your kidneys healthy. I'm a big fan. It's integral to my practice, as I told you. And you won't. And by the way, Strauss has 100% money back guarantee, no questions asked.
No question that. Hey, Doc, since we're down to 2 minutes of the show, can you give them that link? Can you give them the information where they can reach out to you? And I tell you, aged garlic, that's what took me off high blood pressure.
100%.
I'm talking about now. That's why I was telling you that kind of low.
100%. 100%.
I 100% believe in that. Give them that information so that they
Sure.
can go and check
You
it out.
go to Strauss Naturals, STRAUSS Naturals.com. That's the website. You can also call them 866-478-2873, 866-478-2873. You tell them I sent you there. That everybody knows me in the company. But go to StraussNatural.com. Take advantage of my offer. I'll help you. I don't charge you. I'm anxious to help people. Click on that link. My email address is there. You contact me, or when you call.
I vouch for you, Doc, because everything. It's so fantastic, and all the information that you've been giving Michelle and I over the last couple of years, it's been working. So I highly recommend that you guys go to that. We'll make sure that we put it in the comments. But I tell you what, well, we're down to the last 30 seconds of the show, and I see Toddy like, hey, but hey, Doc, you are absolutely fantastic, and one of the most. I tell you what, me and Michelle love you.
Well, so I love you too, man.
Thank you. Stick around if you get an opportunity after the show. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another absolutely fantastic show. I'd like to thank Toddy and our KCBQ studios. Toddy, you are the great. But most importantly, I like our viewers and our listeners for tuning in. We'll be back Monday, same time, same place. It's your life, and we'll see you then.
Too many HVAC companies